Hey Board Game Maniacs, Maniac Rob here to bring you another informative video leading up to our live streaming on December 14th at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time of Follow the Board Game by Fantasy Flight Games, where we are going to be doing a live streaming of a solo mission for the game. I'm excited. I can't wait for this to happen. You can hear it in my voice that I'm still sick, but so it don't matter, because we have to just keep pushing forward and keep doing what we do, which is play games and be maniacs. That's right. So in this video, what we're going to talk about is the types of cards that you get in this game and how you use them. You can say I have all the cards set up here. Now let's go in for a little detail and talk about each of them. Not go through every single card, because you can see this is a big stack, but talk about what each type of card is. Let's first talk about the encounter cards and the quest cards. This is this section right here. They're already put together in order that you're supposed to, just to save some time. But you get a total of, well, a lot of cards actually. So just to let you know, these here, Wasteland cards, you can see the type of logo or icon on these. You get 34 Wasteland cards. You also get 21 settlement cards that kind of look like an RV or a little house. You get what you don't see here because they're mixed in the deck. You get 20 vault cards, and the vault cards have a cogwheel icon onto them and then numbers too as well. And then you get your quest cards, which are also mixed into this. Now, what is the purpose for these encounter cards / quest cards, do you say? So first off, you can see here it has information onto this card. I'm just going to grab this one here. Go a little closer so that it's going to be in focus. You have a number, 159. So the 159 of these cards. So this icon in the back, these are quest cards. Now again, these ones here, they're settlement cards and wasteland cards. And the cogwheel are the vault cards. So during the game, you're going to be picking up some of these cards and so on and so forth. So this gives you an example. So 159, Hammer Time. What Somerville Scavenged super mutant device reconstructed, you can smash into Martyr's Bunker. Anyhow, use the super sledge to smash the bunker. So it gives you options of what you can do. And then in the brown or the beige part, which is here, if you choose option 1, and that little star icon or whatever, this is a quest. So as one of your actions, we're going to explain this too as well further on. But this is a quest, and it'll take one of your actions to do a quest. And it tells you what it is. So Paladin Estate, equip Super Sledge unique asset. So if you did that, then it's just a quest. You don't have to do any tests or anything. It just tells you what to do there. And it tells you too as well is become vilified, and you trash this. So you discard this card. Don't throw it in the garbage, because you can play this in other games. Obviously, you don't want to throw any cards out. But this is out of the game for the rest of the game. Yeah, it's out of the mission or the snare for the rest of the game. And you see here, you have a thumbs up, so you would gain an influence onto this too as well. Now, that's if you choose option 1. Choose option 2. Convince Somerville that this is all ridiculous. And the quest is Pennington Estate, C4. And then you get an influence, and you trash too as well. So during the game, you'll encounter all of these cards with different numbers. And the way you do that, as I showed in a previous video, if you went onto a map icon, like you can see here, this icon tells you that it's a wasteland. So if you want to do a quest, then you're going to, as an action, pull up a wasteland card. It'll tell you what to do. I don't want to spoil it too much by reading all the information, because we may encounter this during the live streaming, and I don't want anybody saying like, hey, you did this in one of your videos, so I know exactly what's going to happen, what the outcome is. To a point, because you can never determine what the outcome is going to be in an apocalyptic wasteland. That's true. But in any case, so that's how you do for these cards. So you would land on like this one here, and as an action, you would pull this. It'll tell you what to do. And during that, it'll say to stage card number 159 as an example. It may not say that in this, but then you would take that and you would put it into playing area, which will give you a quest that you can do, and you can choose which one that you want to do. And then with the brown, like I said, like the dark beige or brown, it'll tell you what to do after you do it. So if I chose number 1, it tells you exactly what to do, or if I chose number 2, it will tell you what to do. Sometimes these cards will tell you other things, such as, you know, if you're vilified, you have to do this option number 1, or you have to do option number 2, and what have you. And that is it for these quest cards. You know, the vault cards are mixed in with these two as well, because the vault cards will tell you other things that you have to do, other tests you have to perform, and so on. And the same with the settlement cards. You land on a map tile with the settlement, you can do a quest for this, and you can hopefully gain some influence or gain a weapon or something that will benefit you and help you move further into this wasteland. Just another little quick note. Again, I'm not getting into super detail into these introduction videos because, again, I don't want the videos to be long. This is just to generate the build up for the December 14th live streaming. But I just thought it'd be important to talk upon this a little bit more. So as I show it onto this here where it's got the wasteland and 2. So for this here, it's the encounter level. And I'll read this right from the book. It's on page 9 of Learn to Play. And it states, each encounter icon on the map has a corresponding number that indicates its level. So then this would be level 2 wasteland. In place of the number, treat that as being equal to the level of the encounter icon you are at. For example, so again, this would be level 2 wasteland. If you're resolving an encounter and the level 2 Red Rock Station, so if you were at level 2 Red Rock Station, just as an example, but we're actually at level 2 Super Duty Mart, and the encounter reads loot bag icon, which you can see here, this is a loot bag, we'll talk about that shortly, times the wasteland icon, that would mean that you would draw 2 loot tokens. So here, just say that I had an encounter and it said to, you know, you do the encounter and you succeed into it. That brown, like I said, that's onto the card here. If it has like a loot icon, which is a bag, times this icon, which stands for wasteland. Let me see if I can bring that up there to get a little more right there. So that would mean that you would grab 2 loot cards because it's a level 2 wasteland. And if it has the loot times this, so then that would be 2. I hope that makes sense, because it does make sense to me, and I'm sick, so hopefully you'll grasp it. Some people have little problems with rules. I am one of those people that I can read it, but until I actually do it, then I'll understand it. But until then, I will not understand it no matter how many times I read it. I am a hands-on kind of guy. So that's what that means. So you land here, you do your encounter, and if you succeed, it got the loot bag times this wasteland, you grab 2 loot cards, and that is it for that part. I don't want to give too much spoilers away, but I think this is very significant, and just to show you. So when you are doing the quest cards and it tells you stuff that you can choose either option 1 or 2, you're going to have to do tests. So for instance, this one here where it says the tower, it's SI and 4. So the way that you would do a test for this is, so first, S stands for strength, I stands for intelligence. So when you look on your character dashboard, if you have an S and or an I, then you'll be able to re-roll as many dice as you want during that test, as long as you have that. So if you have an S and I, you're going to be able to do the re-rolls for it. So what the number stands for is the amount of pips on the dice you have to get equal to, or pass, or get higher to succeed in the test. So just to show you what them dice look like, I got them, I hit the camera here. So these are called VATS dice, V-A-T-S. And you can see they have different things filled in for the body. And this is when you're fighting any of the monsters or humans or bugs or robots or what have you during the gameplay. And you can see also you have these pips on the dice. So with that example where it was 4, if I roll this, just say for instance, for me to beat or equal that test, I would have to get at least 4 pips on the dice. So 1, 2, 3, 4. That would mean I would pass it. If by chance I rolled it and I only got 3 pips, but I had one of those numbers, or letters I should say, for my special tokens, I would be able to re-roll to see if I can get another pip to equal or surpass that number, which on this example would be 4. Hope that clarifies a little bit more. That's kind of talking more about how you play the game, but I thought it was important to explain that part so that it just becomes a little more clear. During the game, when you're doing quests and encounters and so forth, these are, again, your settlement and your wasteland card that you would pull up, and it would tell you if you want to put in one of the quest cards that you mix into it. And how you mix that in, because we're doing a solo mission, you would take, just say it was a settlement card, it told you that, then you would take the top settlement card off. It's kind of off camera a little bit there, but you would take that there, and then you would take the number it told you to for the quest, put it in here on top of this card here that you did, mix them up, and then place them back onto the settlements deck. And the reason for this is because this game is all about choices, and what you choose to do in the game will determine what else you're going to end up doing. So because you chose to do that quest, and if you succeeded or whatever, and you took it from this encounter cards, put it in here, shuffle them together, and then you eventually would pick that up, and then that would help determine how the story progresses from there. I hope this explains a little bit more. When I read the rules, again, I'm not more of a rules guy, I'm more of a hands-on approach. So when we do the live stream, if you're unsure about something, everything should hopefully just be able to explain itself more and more by you seeing as an example of how to do that. So let's move on and talk about the other cards now. Next card I want to talk about are the cards right over here. These cards are called agenda cards, and they have specific things that happen in the game. This is very important because in these cards you can gain influence, and that is pretty much the sole purpose of winning this game. Because it's a solo mission, like I said in the previous missions, you have to build up to 11 influence points to win the game before the one faction gets to the bottom of the faction track. So I'm going to read from the book about these agenda cards, and I'll explain a little bit more on top of that. And I'm reading this right from the rules reference, page 3. Agenda cards grant players influence, which is the thumbs up. Grants players influence, which players need to win the game. Each agenda provides 1 influence and provides conditions for a survivor to gain additional influence. At the end of each round, an agenda card is drawn to determine which enemies activate, then the card is discarded. That's pretty simple so far. During setup, each survivor draws 1 agenda card, and the agenda deck is placed in the first player's play area. So during setup, each survivor draws 1 agenda card. So when we start the game and we're doing solo, we're going to have to draw 1 of these agenda cards. Now, when you're playing in a multiplayer game, you want to keep these agenda cards secret so nobody else sees what you're doing, unless you're playing a cooperative mission. This game usually is not cooperative, but they did come out with an expansion for this, which has co-op rules. And plus, if you go to BoardGameGeek.com, you can find the file for cooperative rules for this too as well. I don't think it is factioned, or it is like a legit rules for Fantasy Flight Games. I think people may have made it up. I'm not 100% sure. I never looked at it in more detail, but you can always go there and just check it out, just so everybody is aware of that. Anyhow, back to the agenda cards. During setup, each survivor, I already said that, draws 1 agenda card, and the agenda deck is placed in the first player's play area. Each agenda card has a number in the bottom left corner that is used determining setup to determine whether this card is used during the game based on the number of players playing. So I already have these all separated. All of these agenda cards are only for 1 player, so the solo mission. But if I flip one over, I don't want to do too much detail, so it's going to give away a lot of the spoilers. But anyhow, you can see there it says a +1. So if you're playing a solo mission, you want to have all the cards with just +1. If you're playing a 2-player, then you're going to have one that has a +1 and a 2. If it's 3, 2 and 1, and then 4. And this is a 4-player game. So you can only play up to 4 players with this core game for Fallout. Just to let everybody know. So anyhow, with this, you get 1 influence point right away. And you can see a plus influence. If you have exactly 6 special tokens, you get a +1 influence. So therefore, this card not only give you 1 point of influence, it will give you 2. And then it will give you an extra 2 more influence if you have all 7. So this card potentially would be worth 1, +1 is 2, +2 is 4. So this would give you 4 influence right from the get-go if you started off with this card. Now, another side of the agenda card, not other side as in this, but another purpose of the agenda card is at the end of the player's activation, you go to the enemy activation. And the way you do this is you're going to draw an agenda card such as this, and on the bottom you see these tokens. So it'll tell you what factions or what monsters will enemies activate. What factions, what monsters, what humans, what bugs, what have you, will activate during that turn. So therefore this says the skulls will activate. So if you have any skull tokens that are flipped down on the map, you're going to flip them up so they're awake. Or if there's already ones that are flipped up, you're going to move them, you're going to do the attack or whatever. And we'll get into that as we play the game so you understand it more. And then you see the one with like the horns onto it. I will talk about what each of these icons mean later on. But in any case, that's how you use for the agenda deck for that. So again, number 1, it gives you influence points. Number 2, it helps you when you're going to activate the enemies. And that is it for the agenda deck. A quick note about the agenda deck too as well. Because we are playing solo, we are limited in the amount of agenda cards that we have. When you get to the bottom of this deck and you're still playing the game, all you do is you take the agenda cards that have been used already, you shuffle them up, and you just keep going on with the agenda deck. So you shuffle them back up just so you can keep cycling through them again. But every time you have to shuffle them up and place them back, that faction track that I showed, which is on the scenario sheet of the last video, they will advance 1 down. So every time you run out and you got to reshuffle them, the 2 factions, whether it's going to be like the Institute and Railroad or what have you, they will advance down 1 position into the faction track. Next we're going to talk about, these are called your asset cards. Now with these asset cards, they do a couple of things into the game. I'm just going to read right from the book again. This is rules reference page number 4. Asset cards. Asset cards represent the items for sale and the companions that can be recruited at settlements. During the game, these cards will tell you that you can shop and so forth. So that's when you'd be able to do a shop for these. Now these asset cards, you're going to, at the beginning of the game, the setup, you're going to do a setup to shop. So you would take 4 of these cards and you would flip them over so that you can see what things you can buy. So when you are able to shop, you're going to be able to buy with the currency of the caps that are involved. So let me bring that up here so you can see this is 6 currency. Now this here is a companion that you can get. You don't have to pay any money for that. And C, Companion Wastelander. So C stands for, I can't remember, my brain is hurting right now. Flipping in the book, Charisma. So again, C, Charisma. And then here's another companion, I, for Intelligence. It's a Protectron. And then you have a STEM pack. You would pay 5 caps so that you can buy this, and during your turn you may discard this card to recover all of your hit points. So again, these are bonus cards. They can have inventory, they can have weapons or what have you, and that's how you create the store at the beginning. 4 of these are face up and the rest of these are face down. Now that is for the asset cards. Now on top of that, asset cards are used to create a shop, which I just explained. When a survivor gains an asset card, he or she adds it to his or her inventory or it places it on the appropriate equipment slot. Again, according to the other video that I did for the character dashboards, you can only have a certain limit of what you can have onto your person at any given time. When a survivor discards an asset card, it is placed in the asset card discard pile. If the last card is drawn from the asset deck, players shuffle the deck pile and create a new asset deck. So that's pretty much it for the asset card. So once these are been flipped over, discarded, you just reshuffle them and then you can start the store over again. Now the only thing with this that's different from the agenda cards is you're not going to move the faction track down anymore if you run out of these. It's only for the agenda. And again, I'm not going to go through all of these cards. There's quite a bit. There's no number, so you can use all of these cards depending on, if it's a 1-player to 4-player game. Now let's go on to the next type of cards that you get in this game. Next cards we're talking about are the loot cards. Now with these loot cards, they contain like companions or items and events survivors may find out in the wasteland. When you're using these loot cards, it'll tell you like if you succeed in a quest to draw X amount of loot cards. And as I said before, you'll only have a certain limit that you can carry per character. So because of that, if you have more loot cards than what you can carry, you have to discard down to the amount that you're allowed to carry. And some of them can have companions, like I said, the protect Tron and so on and so forth. What else can I say about these loot cards? My throat's getting a little sore here. When you discard these loot cards, you just go into a discarded loot card pile. So pretty much just like any other card, you use it, it's gone. Some of these cards too, as well as a one-time use, it'll instruct you when to use it, and then when it's done, it gets discarded. Let's take just an example as one of these loot cards. So this is Preston Gravy, Companion. He's a Minuteman. Exhaust to ignore the effect of difficult terrain until the end of your turn. If there is not a Vault card number 68 or 109 deck, keep this companion when exhausted. So if these are not out, then you keep them. And when it's talking about exhaustion, which is a good idea, so you had this in play, it's just like the Magic game and so on. So exhaust means you use it, so you turn it sideways. But some cards will instruct you to discard it, some will say just to put it in exhaust mode. And how do you get them back? So the way you get them back is there's an action called camping, where you're going to increase 3 hit points and you unexhaust any cards that are exhausted into your character board or whatever. So your inventory and, like for your apparel or your weapon or what have you, unexhaust them for if you're going to camp. So that is it for the loot cards. It's very simple and straightforward. The other cards that we want to talk about right now is the unique asset cards, and they're the ones that got like the Brotherhood symbol onto it from the power armor. See right there, hopefully that'll get in focus. So there you go. So these are specifically unique to when you're playing the game. So what's unique about these is when you're playing the game and when you're doing a quest or an encounter, it'll instruct you to search through this deck and get a specific card instead of randomly drawn one like the loot or the asset cards. This unique one too, it's specific. So it'll tell you to grab like the perfect one, like a Fat Man. So this is a weapon, it'll tell you to do that. Now, if it tells you to grab something and it's not available because it's already been used and it's been discarded, then you're able to opt to pick a unique item of your choice then. But it's not really a choice if it tells you on the card you should pick this one. But if it's been already used and gone, so then you're able to pick one of your choice. So that's different about the unique cards and all the other cards. And you can see here the price is 11 caps for that. So some are expensive, some they go down. And you can also get like special companions that will tell you what to do. There's T60 power armor. So again, that's a better armor too as well, I think. I don't know, I'm not really that much about, don't know about the armor yet because I didn't play the game and pick that yet. So anyhow, there you go. That is how you use the unique asset cards. They are unique because they'll tell you specifically during quest encounter what to take so you can use it. And the only other cards, but we did cover them in the previous videos, and that is your character cards that are up here. Like this is Super Mutant, but there's 5 different character cards right here. And the perk cards. Your perk cards you get in total, I don't know if I said this in the previous video, but there's a total of 14 perk cards that are kind of like a one-time use, and I already explained how you get one of them perk cards when you're playing the game. So this brings us to the 3rd video for Fallout the board game by Fantasy Flight Games, where we just talked about all the types of cards you can get. Now we're going to probably only do one more video, which will bring us to Thursday, and because this 3rd video that you're probably watching it on Wednesday if I posted them correctly. So we're going to talk about one more video. In that video we're going to talk about, I'm not sure if I'm going to do like examples of a gameplay, because you're going to see that when we do the stream. But what I might do now is, for the 4th video, is talk about the dice, just briefly go over it, even though we did talk about it, just a little more detail, and then all of the tokens that you get during the game and how you use them. I think that's probably the best thing we're going to do. So there you go. I hope you enjoyed this video. Just a little more in-depth look at all the cards that you play in the game for the Fallout board game. If you have any questions, please comment down below and let me know. But again, this is just a build-up. I'm going to remind you one more time. For December 14th, 2018, at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we are going to do a live streaming of a solo mission for the game of Fallout the board game. Not the tabletop game, and not the video game. Now, they just released recently the tabletop game of Fallout, and I have one in my possession. I want to paint it up. It comes with miniatures. You play in a 3x4 surface, and you use 3D terrain, and so on and so on. But this video is not about that. But you're going to see that in the future on the Board Game Maniacs channel for sure, because I want to play, because I love post-apocalyptic games, obviously. So until next time, Board Game Maniacs, I hope you enjoyed this. I hope to see you when we do our live streaming on December 14th. I really hope that, because I'm looking forward to playing this game, and I'm really, really looking forward to seeing all your comments and guiding me along this path in the wasteland so that we can build up and get the 11 influence points so that we can beat this game before either one of the other factions, the Railroad or the Institute, will win the game. We will see, won't we, on December 14th at 8 p.m. Eastern on YouTube and Twitch. So until next time, Board Game Maniacs, talk to people. Communication is key, and when we play this game, you guys communicating through text in the chat is going to help me get further into this game, and I'm going to love that. That's right. So until next time, Board Game Maniacs, you know what I'm going to say. Be a maniac. That's right. See ya!